Hey there, how there, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Cutter Top 10. Today we're going to look at another Top 10 baseball video with my Blue Jays pullover being the catalyst. Today we are going to be looking at the top 10 most emotional not Blue Jay moments, but the most emotional baseball moments in history because baseball is full of everything. Alrighty. Number 10 is Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the postseason 2010 and, of course, his subsequent death. I mean, who would have known that Roy Halladay would have went under medication and under that would take a plane and then go in the middle of the ocean in a you-know-what? Kind of pathetic. But we need to talk about Roy Halladay the good. I mean, Halladay rocked um, the old school Blue Jay jersey when the Jays were doing the Friday flashbacks. And, he was a great pitcher for the Blue Jays and then went title chasing in Philadelphia. I kind of was pissed off because Halladay went for the money. He could have stayed in Toronto, be a legend. Nevertheless, Halladay had a great inaugural season with the Phillies in 2010. Yes, his numbers retired by the Phillies as well as the Blue Jays. Anyhow, Halladay pitched a perfect game. Not in the postseason, but in the regular season against the Florida Marlins. Ironically, that was during Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Flyers and the Hawks. But the Phillies won the East and would take on the Cincinnati Reds in the LDS, the League Division. No, sorry, the League Division Series. The Reds would be powerless in Game 1 against Roy Halladay as he made his first postseason start. Of course, the Blue Jays never went to the postseason in his reign as a Blue Jay. But Halladay was picking a part of it. A couple of walks, no big deal. But Halladay, after 8 innings, was pitching a no-hitter. It would be the first time I ever watched a game on TV that saw a no-hitter. I missed a lot of no-hitters and all that. Well, of course, Dave Steve's no-hitter I don't remember watching as a kid. And that's the only Blue Jay no-hitter ever. Mark Burley's perfect game, I believe that was a something like that, but on TSN, well, highlights. But anyway, yeah, Halliday's no hitter. I got to watch the game on Sportsnet, and it was amazing that he did it. He threw a no hitter, and the Phillies unfortunately didn't win that championship. That would have been great for Ray Halladay to win a ring, but it didn't happen. Number 9 is Ichiro's single season hits record. Ichiro was a legendary player and all that. In 2001, in his rookie season, his inaugural MLB season, he played many years in Japan. He won not only the Rookie of the Year, but the freaking AL MVP. And that he had a lot of hits. He helped Seattle win 116 games, the most in American League history. And let's not forget his famous throw, in his first few weeks of being a major league ball player, he threw from right field a laser beam in Oakland from right field to third base to get Terrence Long out. But yeah, Ichiro in 2004 would be better. He would be the single season hits record. He put up 262 hits, which is amazing. One hit a game, that's 162 hits. You have to do 1.5 hits per game and all that. And of course, the hitting streak, the longest is 56. So yeah, you have to have great days and all that. But yeah, Ichiro breaking the record. And the Sizemore family were happy with what happened. Uh, Number 8 is Joe Carter's home run in 1993. I know you'll be thinking, what the hell are you thinking? You're a Blue Jays fan. Why you put it so low? Well, there's a lot of emotion on a lot of things and all that. It's based off of pure emotion, not based off of, like, the home run and all that. The home run to win the World Series, that definitely would be number 1. But because there's some emotional moments better than that, it was huge. I know it was emotional for Canada. I mean, to win the World Series. But let's not forget, the Jays won the 92 World Series. And then in 93, in one of the biggest roster turnovers in history, the Blue Jays had to go through it alone. They picked up Ricky Henderson at the trade deadline, which helped have WHAMCO, WHAMCO, or for White, Henderson, Alomar, Mulder, Carter, Olerud. But yeah, Joe Carter, the Jays were down 6-5, Everyone was upset because the Jays were trying to rally in the eighth. They failed. But as one fan said in the World Series video, at least they got the top of the order up. And, Henderson walked them 4 pitches. Molitor got a single. And then Joe Carter rocked a 2-2 slider from Mitch Williams over the left field wall. Touch the ball, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life. The great Tom Cheek call. Canadian Jays fans would have been amazing. It would have been amazing in 2025 winning the World Series, but didn't happen. Fuck. Number 7 on the list is New York after 9/11. A lot of people probably will think this is controversial. I understand. But yeah, New York was different. 9/11 just ripped through the baseball season. Of course, it ripped through the football season, but not really through basketball or hockey because that didn't start till like October. But yeah, it ruined New York and all that. The Yankees were doing quite well as they usually are. The Mets were starting to stir, but 9/11 just ruined it. Baseball took a week off and then they went back to New York. Strangely enough, on the 21st, on the Friday, was the first time the Yankees or Mets would play at home. And the Mets were hosting the Atlanta Braves, and that pregame was amazing and all that. And the fans, and especially Mike Piazza's home run to center field in the eighth off of Greg Maddux. Or was it Greg Maddux or was it Tom Glavine? It was off one of the Brave starters, Maddux or Smoltz. But anyway, that was amazing and all that. Brought New York back to the fold that they could do anything. And the Yankees did go to the World Series. In any year, I would have definitely picked the Yankees to win the World Series because of emotion. But because Arizona was Arizona, I went with the Diamondbacks, and I was right. I feel bad the Yankees didn't win the World Series in 2001, which is unusual because I'm a Blue Jay fan. Sorry. So number 6 is the Bo Sox winning the World Series after 86 years. Now, this was not the longest drought in baseball history to be broken. I mean, I know the Cubs winning the World Series after 108 years. That should have been it. Or the White Sox. People forget the White Sox, when they won in 2005, their drought was longer than the Red Sox. The White Sox had a drought from 1917 to 2005, whereas the Bo Sox was from 1918 to 2004. But the Bo Sox were known for having the curse of the Bambino. The Cubs had the curse of the Billy Goat, yeah, but I think the Red Sox had more chances to win the World Series than the Cubs, in a sense. Because the Red Sox won their first 5 appearances of the World Series, and then they lost the next 4, winning the next 3. Or 4, I can't remember. Winning the next 4, yeah. So anyway, yeah, the curse of the Bambino was finally broken. Everyone picked on that one. And, of course, the curse of the Billy Goat. But yeah, the Bo Sox in 2004. This was huge because the Red Sox had to come back from 3-0 down against the New York Yankees to win the series, which usually never happens. Never happens. And then the Red Sox swept the St. Louis Cardinals to win the World Series in St. Louis, but it did it. Boston finally won the World Series. It was just amazing. The Cubs won. Cubs as well. That could also be an emotional moment too. Number 5, Roberto Clemente's legacy. In 1972, on the final day of the season, September 30th, against John Madlock of the Mets, Clemente hit a double at Three Rivers Stadium to get his 3,000th career hit. And then, as the humanitarian he was, Clemente decided to board a flight to Nicaragua because Nicaragua was hit with earthquakes. Even though that Clemente was from Puerto Rico, he still thought he would needed to help Latin America. So he took on a plane with supplies, but unfortunately, though, it crashed off the Atlantic and was never recovered. He was delivering aid to earthquake victims, and he tragically lost his life. Of course, everyone was just sad that Clemente's 3,000th hit was his last, and he died on New Year's Eve, 1972. 1973 was not easy for the Pirates. They had to pick up where we left off. Question, of course, was would Clemente have played the 73 season? I think he would have. Anyway, Clemente would be his 21 would be retired, and basically Pittsburgh feted him and all that for his legacy. Number 4 is Cal Ripken breaking the consecutive games record of Lou Gehrig in 1995. Lou Gehrig lasted 2,130 career games. He came in for Wally Pipp, and never gave up the first baseman's job. Of course, the DH was not available until 1973. So Gehrig did his job, and unfortunately, Gehrig would have a terrible start to his 1939 season and asked on May 2nd, 1939, to be taken out of the lineup. The Yankees said that it's your spot when you come back. Unfortunately, Gehrig would go to the Mayo Clinic and find out he had early signs of ALS, soon to be called Lou Gehrig disease. Anyhow, Gehrig would be physically and mentally hurt. And yes, we'll talk about Lou Gehrig later. But as is, Cal Ripken, on a seemingly innocent day, May 30th, 1982, coming in to the eighth inning of a Blue Jays Orioles game and Toronto, would start the streak. 2,131 consecutive games, which ended that streak ended on the streak happened September 6, 1995. It would have been earlier in 1995 if it wasn't for the pesky strike of 94. But anyway, yeah, on that September night, Cal Ripken not only broke Lou Gehrig's marker in the bottom of the fourth, he actually hit a home run off of the California Angels and did it. It was weird. And then, bottom of the fifth, let it be said, this moment will last for 2,131 years, as Chris Berman of ESPN said that. I think CTV did that game too. But anyway, yeah, Ripken broke the record. And then, the standing ovation. And then Ripken had to be pushed out. And then he did a lap around the stadium and all that. The record would go up to 2,632 games before Ripken decided to take one off before the 98 home closer, the final home game for the Orioles. That was just amazing what Ripken did. 2,632 games. You play 162 games a year for 10 years. That's 1,620. That's less than 1,000. That's like 1,000 under the record. And that's 10 years. A lot of pro players can't last 10 years. Doesn't make sense. But yeah, Cal Ripken did so. Number 3 is Kirk Gibson's walk-off home run in 1988. Although you could also say Freddie Freeman's home run in 2024 because Freeman also had a severe injury and hit the grand slam in the bottom of the 10th in game 1. Gibby beat Freddie, as Joe Davis would say on Fox. But Gibson's was way worse with the injury. He made a diving attempt at a ball at Chase Stadium during the LCS between the Dodgers and the Mets. He injured himself. He was not able to play in the 1988 World Series. He couldn't play game 1 and all that. I think Mike Marshall came in for him. But nevertheless, Gibson couldn't play and all that. Oakland was up 4-0 on a Jose Canseco grand slam. The Dodgers cut it to 4-3. Gibson, after learning that Vin Scully basically all but given up on him, and Vin Scully was broadcasting the Dodgers in the regular season, Gibson said, "To hell with it. I'm going to try to get it back." And when Mike Davis walked, he came up to the plate to pinch hit, and then knew that a 3-2 backdoor slider was coming, and he hit it over the right field fence. And it's amazing. This home run, I think, is the best moment in Major League history to have 2 legendary calls of the game. 2 legendary calls. I mean, if you watch NBC, Vin Scully says, "In a year that has been so improbable, the impossible has happened." Because the 1988 Dodgers were not expected to beat the Mets in the LCS or the A's in the World Series, which they did. And then, of course, Jack Buck's call for CBS Radio. "I don't believe what I just saw. I don't believe what I just saw." Gibson would limp around the bases. That would be his only at bat in the World Series, but it helped the Dodgers win in 5 games. And also thanks to Orel Hershiser's pitching. Number 2 is Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. It was a famous moment. April 15, 1947, finally, Major League Baseball would break the color barrier. Minor leagues would have that, but there would be a testimonial of Kennesaw Mound Landis being a racist cracker or whatever you want to call it. But the fact of the matter is that, finally, once Landis left office, Happy Chandler, I think it was the commissioner, and basically they wanted to break the color barrier. Jackie Robinson was a legendary sportsman for UCLA for like football and baseball and track. And then Jackie went through the stages. And in 1946, Jackie famously went to the AAA affiliate of the Dodgers and the International League were, well, Montreal, Quebec, of course, the Montreal Royals. Montreal fans gave him a standing ovation. He helped them win the International League Championship, and then the Dodgers brought him up in 1947. A lot of racism and adversity happened, even on his own team. They even had a petition, but team captain Pee Wee Reese famously ripped it up in front of their faces and allowed Jackie to be on the team. Pee Wee would put his arm around Jackie in a moment of history. Robinson would break the color barrier, 1947, become the NL Rookie of the Year, and then 2 years later, he was MVP. And in 1955, he won the title with the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was a legend. Unfortunately, he would die much too soon in 1972. I think that he probably would have lasted till the 80s under good health, but he had diabetes. But yeah, Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier was huge and all that. And it brought people like Don Newcomb to Larry Doby. And then, of course, we would not have people like Willie Mays. We would not have people like Bobby Bonds or Barry Bonds, for that matter, Spit, or even Albert Pujols, because Latinos were also not there for the color barrier. But nevertheless, yeah, Jackie was huge. And in 1997, Bud Selig made that big call to retire number 42. Any player still wearing 42, like Mo Rivera or Mo Vaughn, could keep that number for prosperity until they retire. So that's what happened. And number one, of course, I talked about Lou Gehrig. It's the farewell speech of all farewell speeches, 1939. Lou Gehrig, as I said, played over 2,130 games, and then May 2nd, 1939, he was struggling and took himself out of the lineup against the Tigers. Little did they know that it would be the last time Lou Gehrig would have a Yankee uniform, and play. He would have problems, and by July the 4th, it was found out he had ALS and all that. He was stricken, and then Yankee Stadium, in the middle of a doubleheader, because they were commonly put on the 4th of July doubleheaders. In 1939, the Yankees, I can't remember who their opponent was. I would say the Tigers or the A's, probably. I don't remember. But yeah, Lou Gehrig, between games, would deliver his luckiest man on the face of the earth speech, because, they fed him with a lot of stuff. His humility and gratitude moved everyone. He said, "Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth." And he would also add that, people like the New York Giants, who you hate, who like break an arm hating, actually fed you and all that. And he also said, "Well, I have a bad break. I I can't remember the line. There's a bad break." That he's in good spirits. So yeah, we were all in good spirits and all that. And he was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And that's emotion personified. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.